Hello, everyone. For those of you who might watch these recordings later, today is a truly special moment for me because I have the amazing honor of speaking to someone who has been a huge inspiration to my journey. Dr. Thomason, thank you so much for giving the time to speak with me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
I have admired your work for so long, and your insights have been shaping the way I think about AI and, interestingly, gaming.
Yeah. Oh,
I
I'm really happy about that.
I remember a discussion we had long time ago about gaming where I was so negative and seeing also and thinking only of the negative outcomes because of my son spending quite
Yes.
long time playing, and you're debating on the good outcome of someone playing video games. I will start this asking question by telling you first how grateful I am for the time you offer me today, and I really appreciate that. And I have prepared 10 questions for my preliminary research. And the first question is, what is the driving force behind your career choices? What is your why?
So, always, right from my youngest days, I've been motivated by making the world a better place. And so, all the choices that I've made have been jobs or roles or ways that I can, really change things and influence things for the better in a small way or in a bigger way. So, that's always my driving force is doing something where my personal skills and abilities can have an impact on the lives of people somewhere in the world.
Amazing. The seven why of the theory that I am building through my doctoral studies is building an image not just to make it, it's to be able to influence them, to be able to do things and change things, to leave a legacy behind you. So I totally understand and I totally agree with this building to leave something behind us in a better world, probably. So the next question is, do you believe in the power of personal branding?
Okay, I think I'm going to answer that in this way. I mean, yes, of course, because we can see it. In my own personal journey, it's been completely accidental. I've never set out to have or build a personal brand. I've simply always endeavored to be me and my authentic self. And that seems to have translated into a brand, but it was completely unintentional. So I see the power of it in other people and other people as they intentionally build it, but that hasn't been my experience.
So you quite answer my next question if you are consciously building your personal brand. But uh, probably you have heard that we all have a personal brand. It's the perception that people have about us. So either we build it or not, consciously, we do have a personal brand. I'm not sure if I mentioned to you how I got, let's say, attention about you and what you do. We were speakers together in a conference, I think it was 2021. And I've noticed on my analytics on my website a huge spike. And I was, what's going on? What did I publish that day? And going back, I found out that I made a post that I will be a speaker in that conference, and you were one of the keynote speakers.
Oh,
After the conference, a friend of mine told me, it was quite interesting to see you next to Dr. Jane Thomas. And I said, why? Because she doesn't accept speaking engagement with people, let's say, with lower authority than her. And I was like, really? So maybe you would like to answer me to this. I'm still wondering from them if that's it true, or it's just the impression that people have about you?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, it's not true at one level because I don't look at speaking engagements and go, oh, are those people important on the panel? Because, for example, I do many speaking engagements in developing countries because I think it's a service. But what I do is I look at who is responsible for that event or that conference, and I won't speak at events which I think are run by shady people or people that I don't think have good values. So it's not so much who's on the panel; it's more a, whether it's going to be a value add or a contribution to other people's knowledge, or B, that it's run by an ethical organisation. They're really my two considerations.
So that's the answer. It's not about, let's say, the authority, it's about values, right?
Yeah, yes. For
So,
me, that's the most important thing.
so this leads to my next question. What are your brand values and your core values, let's say, and how do you communicate them? Because I can say that, let's say, integrity and it's one of your core values just by understanding that you don't accept speaking engagement, let's say, if you don't share the same values with the organization or with the organizers. So in few words, what would you say that are your three or four most important, your core values?
Well, I think honesty, integrity, transparency, and humanity they're the things. Um, whatever I say and whatever I share is what I genuinely believe. I'm never pitching to get work or pitching to sell something. I really hope that my thinking and my ideas, by sharing them, can add value to other people. And so I'm always open, I'm always honest, I'm always transparent. And I hope I uphold those kind of ethical and moral values that people can look to me as someone trustworthy to get information and ideas from.
I think I've lost you.
Oh, did
Oh,
I
yeah,
drop
yeah,
out?
yeah. The recordings are fine. So, the next question, it's about assets. And when I talk about assets, I don't mean, the way we used to think, let's say 20 years ago about assets, because let's say an academic degree, it's an asset. Building, let's say, a digital asset, but building it right, like, let's say, a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, it's an asset, it's considered an asset nowadays. So what would you say that are your most important assets right now and helps you to communicate, let's say?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think LinkedIn has become one of the most powerful uh, platforms for people who want to make an intelligent contribution. I think websites are getting less important. I do have YouTube, but it's not something that I really drive and try and make the most out of. It's just somewhere where I can put videos so people can go and see. But my main communication channel is LinkedIn. And, I think that's the place where people go and find me. That's the place people can go and find what I'm talking about or what I'm writing about. But it is changing because, for example, TikTok has become a much more powerful means of communication. I'm not really using it, but I can see that it's very important.
I love because honestly, I was avoiding, and I'm still reluctant, let's say, to go on TikTok. I feel like, although I love LinkedIn, and if I want, let's say, if I have an hour, I prefer to spend it on LinkedIn, let's say.
Mm.
But I can see as a digital marketeer and in my work, I can see that TikTok It's getting a lot of power. And I'm laughing because I used to say, no way that I would go on TikTok.
Yeah, but it's also who's your audience, because the TikTok audience tends to be a younger demographic. And, I think it kind of depends on, who you're trying to talk to. I still think professionals are more likely to be on LinkedIn than somewhere else.
I completely agree. So you kind of answer also my next question, what social media you are active on?
Well, I mean mainly LinkedIn, but I do Instagram, I do X. I don't do TikTok, but I look at TikTok. I don't do Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel, but it's not very active or well curated.
Okay, let me just ask the next question, and I will come with a comment about YouTube and X. So, what search engine do you use? Google, Bing, Yahoo, ChatGPT, Gemini? When you search for
I use
something,
yeah, I use a bit of everything. I use Google as we've always used it. I use ChatGPT to test ideas. I use Gemini if there's some, more research type of work to be done. So, I'm pretty pragmatic. I use whatever I think will help me with the task I've got.
um, the reason where I am asking this question is because you know before used to be only Google and YouTube, and YouTube it's a Google asset. However, they used to have, not so sure if they still have an agreement with Twitter, with X, and they were exchanging data. So they were so important if you wanted to rank information. However, with ChatGPT is a search engine also, but it's retrieving information from Bing, whereas Gemini from Google. So
Mm,
nowadays, I'm talking about ranking information. We really need to put much more effort because you never know when people are searching through social media or which search engine. So that's the reason I'm asking
yeah, yeah.
this question. Now, if you wanted to see, let's say, and understand your power of impacting and influencing, how would you measure your personal brand? We know that LinkedIn already has a tool. It's called SSI. Probably you already tested it, and it measures the power of people influencing other people. However, on personal branding, there are a lot of tools, but they assess our power of influencing all over the web. So you know the power of algorithms, and you know how AI is trained to think exactly the way we think as human. And let me tell you that you score quite high. You score 78 out of 100. So, but
On what measure is that one?
it measures your impact and the power of links that are retrieving information about you.
Oh, okay. That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It
I
is,
didn't
you know,
I didn't
as
know that.
there are a lot of tools, to measure the power of websites, domain authority. And my latest research showed that brands are over brand authority are overruling domain authority, but personal branding are overruling right now brands authority and domain authority, because behind every brand there are people, and the more authoritative they are, the more trustful.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the way we start. And to be honest, I think that in a few years, all companies will hire by using a tool like this, or promotion will be given using tools like this. Exactly like the credit score. If you go to a bank to get a loan, if you don't score high, you might not get it. So I believe that those personal branding tools will play a huge role, let's say, in the future, at least for people that are building a career or business people. So in terms of measuring your success, how would you say, what do you use? What's, let's say, a way that you understand your power, let's say, of influencing?
That's an interesting question because I have to tell you, I don't measure it. I don't look to find out. But of course, I see in the way people communicate with me, who reaches out to me, what they ask me to do, what they say about maybe they learned something from something I spoke about or something I wrote about. So I have a sense that I have a strong and trustworthy reputation in the marketplace, but I've personally never tried to measure it or honestly tried to build it because even when I started on LinkedIn, I had no thought about becoming an influencer. What I had a thought about is we're in this incredibly fast paced, fast moving world of technological innovation. And I was seeking to understand it. And as I sought to understand it, and as I learned things, I thought I have to share these things with other people. So it was really that got me started writing and speaking and talking because I think it's incredibly important. And I feel like there's not that many people at the forefront of technology and how it's going to impact on our future, and that I had some knowledge that was worth sharing. So, to be really honest with you, it's mapping my personal journey of discovery and sharing it with other people. And it's as simple as that. But I don't measure it and go, I mean, things like, Thinkers 360 recognize me as a top 10 influencer in health tech, blockchain, various things. But that's not something that I've sought. It's just something that's happened. So I can see it's a phenomenon, if you like, but I don't track it and I haven't tried to build it.
I have one more question. Let's say, what advice will you give to a female entrepreneur and why?
What kind of advice I would give to a female entrepreneur
And why?
and why? Okay, I think the first thing is always be true to yourself. Follow your own pathway. Don't worry so much about what other people think. And I think, that can drive the whole integrity side of it. I think the second one is have a go, because if you don't have a go, you'll never know. And even if you fail, you learn something. And then if you have an objective or a goal or a dream, then go for it and don't give up and keep on going. But be prepared to change, because what's in your mind might not be the way to be most successful. So you have to be continuously scanning the environment and making adjustments in what you're doing and what you're thinking, to be able to be successful. But finally, it's just be confident in yourself and don't worry about, it's the same thing as what I said in the beginning. Don't worry about other people. You just get out there and you try and do what you can do. There's nothing stopping you. I'm actually not a big believer in this so-called glass ceiling. I think if you reach for the stars and you don't let small things bother you, you can reach the stars.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recordings. I'm really grateful. Honestly, I'm so grateful for your time.